Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's quick cultural convo. I'm Vickie Kelty, as you may know, and joining me is, well, whichever side she's on for you, is Raquel Sands, who is a career confidant who helps free spirited professionals and entrepreneurs align their careers with their values. With an impressive background spanning corporate, nonprofit, and entrepreneurial spaces, Raquel's approach blends mental, emotional, and spiritual wellness to help her clients find clarity and purpose, leading all to changes that transform their careers and lives. What an amazing person we have with us. I'm so excited for our little chat. Welcome, Raquel.
Thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I love
Well,
you.
I am just curious to hear what you're going to have to tell us because I'm not going to beat around the bush. We're going to
Okay.
jump right in.
Okay.
And the topic for today is bum, ba, da. We do need background things. Like, I feel like you needed some applause that we didn't have. Like,
Applause ourselves. Yeah.
we'll have to give it ourselves. Yeah, like, rock down. And, and the drum roll. We don't have the drum roll, but okay, we'll make it work. Maybe I'll add sounds next time.
Yeah.
But so the topic that we're focusing on with Raquel, which I think makes a lot of sense, is talking about a typical work day.
Mhm.
And so let's chat. I would love to hear, Raquel, about your typical workday, whether as a career confidant or at your day job, or maybe a mix of both and what
Yeah.
that looks like. I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody would love to know.
Oh man. So it is
Give us the
both.
dirt.
I know. So it is both. I currently have a full-time job as a marketing communications person. Um, it's hybrid role. So I have to go into the office twice a week. And I should say I'm in Washington, D.C. area. So I go in metro, I commute. And then I'm building my own business. So a day in the life is first having a clear schedule. What day is it? Because if it's Monday, Wednesday, or Friday, it's client days. I do have clients. I segment my meetings to just be Tuesday and Thursday. And I can do that because my boss is not in my office. So I'm kind of my own boss, even in my full-time role. I have strict time on
Definitely
to,
have a lot of that flexibility built in with
yeah,
that hybrid option, as you say.
exactly.
I'm really glad that you explained that a bit because
Yeah.
that it's not a new thing so much nowadays, but it still can be for certain people who maybe after the pandemic, they didn't get to continue with that option.
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. So maybe I should even say if the person is looking for an online business, then looking for a hybrid role or something that gives you that space is going to be a deal breaker because I don't think, I think it would take me longer and I would probably have less energy if I had to go into the work full time 5 days a week or even have an
Wow.
overtime job, something that was hourly. My work is salary. My work is hybrid. I can take it with me on a laptop. So all of that set me up to still pay my bills, to still save because I don't have money from anywhere else. I'm funding everything myself. And then build the business, meeting collaborators, other business people that help create that network because it's everything is starting from scratch. So,
Yes. Thank
yeah,
you for that transparency. That is so nice to hear that we don't always get to like pull back the curtain and see
yeah,
how like what it looks like for a real person. We
yeah,
get to hear these like
yeah,
fictitious versions of these
yeah,
journeys. Even with language learning, that can come
yeah,
into it that like, oh, I learned the language in 1 month. Okay,
No.
you learned it in 1 month because you didn't have any job that you had to go to other than the language learner,
Other
or
than
what
that,
what was
right.
the secret? Because there's something
There's
that's
something
not
there.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, I think we're all I mean, going to the work that I do, we're all on our own journeys. So building a business is gonna happen in its own time and way. Having a full-time job, figuring that out is gonna happen. And then if we're doing both, that happens. But I think I will say the reason I'm doing both is because the job is purely the money situation. I've gotten to a place where I know that all my energy needs to be devoted on the business, but I can't do that if I don't have electricity, if I don't have a shelter. So I
Right.
think it's finding the ways to build our own support, whether that is family. Maybe we have to go back and live with a family member so that we don't have that extra responsibility. Maybe it's someone who has a partner who is able to pay the rent or whatever, and they support and believe in us so much that we can just do that.
Yeah,
Um,
that they're like the breadwinner, and so you're
yeah,
able to start from 0 and just build that
yeah,
up slowly.
yeah,
Yeah. It's
yeah,
so good to hear about just, like, to be reminded about all the different
yeah.
possibilities, that it's not just one way
No,
that
absolutely. Yeah,
the
yeah.
creating the business looks like.
No, yeah, and I
Mm.
think this is a specific instance because, again, I wanted to be online. I know that my future is I like to travel, and so I still want to work with people in different parts of the world because I enjoy that, and I wanna
Yeah.
have the flexibility of travel. So I'm trying to build in my business the lifestyle so that if I have the clients, I'm not working backwards of like, "Okay, actually, do you work on this time zone or can we do that?" And so it takes perhaps harder work because it feels like a lot. If I didn't have those boundaries, this day is for business, this day is for work. So today's Friday, it's a business day for me. So I have all the time to do my podcast and my clients. I have client calls today. So it's more flexible, but I have to build that in. So it takes a lot of work to set up this system, but if we're able to do it, knowing that it's temporary, I don't see myself doing this forever. Um, 1, 2 years max. And then I've either got the savings or I've got enough clients that I can start to do a part time situation or my husband can take over. And so then I can just devote myself to business when it comes to that. Yeah.
How do you find the balance of it?
Oh, it's hard, especially when there's this like you're in the middle in the United States, there's some states that have a state line, and so you can kind of straddle the state line. So that's how it feels in where I'm 1 foot in work and 1 foot in my business.
Sure.
And so the
I was
balance
like, where are you gonna
where am I
take this
going with
straddling
it?
the state line?
I know. Or in Europe, I'm
Yes,
sure maybe
there's
there's like country lines and you're straddling
well,
the
yeah, there's something in Madrid that I can't remember what it is, but that people like to go and take their picture.
oh,
But there are tons of places in the world where you're like, "Oh, you get
where
to
you
be in 2 places at
at
once."
once,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah, and
Mhm.
it's not the most comfortable, so the balance, the juggle, the hustle that they call it, it
Yeah.
I think just to remind myself that it's temporary. I've put myself in this position. Nobody has forced me to do this. It's all voluntary. Um, it's all like an ends to a mean. And so the balance is like, okay, there's great days. There's great days at work where I'm like, I know that if I didn't do the business, I still feel confident in my expertise. But there are awesome days in business where I'm like, affirm, like, no, I know that regardless of that over there, the reason why I'm doing this, all of this juggle, is because I want to show up for other people. I want to help them as I've hopefully helped myself and help other people. Um,
Yeah.
the balance is like the why. Why am I doing this? And just honoring that
Yeah.
be a struggle, but it's hopefully a good struggle. Like when you work out, when you're lifting weights, it's not great in the moment, but the after you're like, I did that, and
Yeah.
it's enough of a push. It's not drenching. It's not something horrible.
No, but that also m leads into what I was wondering of what part of your day do you look forward to the most? Because what you said about the working out reminds me of, like, I I like to go for walks. That's like my exercise thing where I clear my head and I
Yeah.
just have, um, you know, lay instead of the weightlifting. And the thing is that even though it's quite an easy thing and it's a really enjoyable thing,
Mhm.
sometimes oh, I have to change. Oh, I have to make sure that the cats have had their food before I leave. Oh, it's sunny out. I have to put on sunscreen. And you can see from my tan line that I haven't been as great on that part. Cause sometimes I'm just like, if I don't leave right now, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so that
Yeah.
struggle of even though the end was so worth it, I was like,
Yeah.
getting out the door sometimes, Raquel.
It's hard. I know those are it's hard. And I think there are times when it's like if you don't do those things, like you didn't put the sunscreen, it's okay in moderation, but but maybe next time
But
but I know I know
you can tell it's not too dark. So I must
I
have
think
I must have put it on enough
you
times
didn't good.
that
Yeah. But I
and
think
my
like,
nose is quite pale still. So clearly I
oh
got my
no,
face under control.
oh no, you're good. No, but I think like going back to I've set myself up to
Mm,
succeed. So I think like putting the reminders or creating that structure so that I don't have to think about it anymore. And that was a struggle when I started. I was like, when am I doing business stuff? And how can I show up, just even show up and tell people, you can go on my calendar when I didn't know what time I was even making myself available. So,
yeah.
so I think if we are really honest with ourselves, how much time and energy can we put to our business right now in the time of life that we're in? Or how much time do we want to be working for another person? For me, I'm mentally checked out. I'm just doing the things because I know my heart is somewhere else. But
Yeah.
I've designated that time. Everything with work goes in that bucket. And if something else happens on a Monday, I'm not gonna lie, I might address it or I just delegate to Tuesday depending on what it is. But having the structure is super helpful because then you have something to fall back on. You don't have to
For sure.
where's the sunscreen? Where's this thing? Where's that? You just
I
you
have the sunscreen, by the way. I have it in
oh,
the hallway staring
oh,
me in the face
oh no.
because yeah, because of that exact reason of that I don't wanna do it. It's all
Yeah.
sticky and then you have to yeah.
Maybe a spray.
But
It's
you
about
set up the oh, we have sunscreen spread all over the house just because I'm like, "No, I'm giving myself all the opportunities that I can. I'm
yeah.
setting myself up for success,
Yeah.
even if sometimes, I mean, like, sometimes you're not going to grab it,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and
And
that's
that's okay.
okay.
Yeah.
But it's
Exactly.
there. It's
But it's
there.
there.
It's ready. It's
Exactly. I
ready
know.
to help you succeed.
Just,
So yeah,
yeah. But
they
you said what was my favorite part or like the moment that I look forward to.
yeah.
And I think it's the morning times. I'm more of a 7 a.m., 8 a.m. person. I'm not a 5 a.m. Looney Tune.
Not I don't remember what that book is, but there's some book about, like, getting up at 5 a.m. or 6 a.m.
No
and
way. No
that's how
way.
you make it all work, and that's
No, there's
definitely what my cats think, but I am of a different opinion, as many people
exactly.
know.
No, exactly. And
I
I
think
think
we have that eternal clock that we figure out what works for us.
exactly, yeah, and I think that that's another fallacy, that's another lie that if you wanna do all the things, you just need to wake up earlier or you need to change your lifestyle in order to come I'm like, "No, the lifestyle needs to fit that." So it
For everything,
for
even
everything.
for my walks, like, I could try I'm sorry, I'm very obsessed with my walk today. I
No,
did
please,
already do
yeah.
my walk, so I already got it in today. And the reason I already got it in is because I knew everything else that I had going on today. And I was like, okay,
Yes.
it was my priority for my
Yes,
Friday. It's
exactly.
my little daily priority. And
Exactly.
fitting
Exactly.
it in at 7 in the morning is
Yeah.
just not my cup of tea.
Yeah.
So I
Exactly.
prefer to fit it in either in the evening or in but
Perfect.
yeah. Exactly what you're
Mhm.
saying.
Yeah. Yeah. So, but I love the morning. I am the 7 a.m. type.
Mm,
And then part of the business piece is I like to wake up easily, like slowly take my time, not
yeah.
rush. So I love that. I love Monday, Wednesday, Fridays because I take my time getting up. I do a meditation. I have my cup of tea. It's a very luxurious, like, okay, I can just walk into my business feeling like I'm in a great place to show up for others. Versus Tuesday and Thursday on work days, I'm like, oh, I gotta run to the metro and I gotta do, and so I don't look
How
forward
long
to
a trip is it for you
about
for
an
your job?
hour. So it's two
An
hours in.
hour.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That eats up so much time.
It eats up. Yeah. So that's why those balance days is like, I know that this is a temporary situation because I know I have to save, I have to pay off my card. There's so much debt in America. There's always debt. Um,
Yeah.
no,
Don't
it's just
don't get me started on that
I-
one.
okay. So it's just an ends to a means. And I know that what brings me joy or sparks joy or whatever is the business. And so uh, when I'm in the metro, I'll listen to a business book or I'll still do business type things that
Yeah.
don't so
Taking
much of my
advantage
energy.
of that, like,
Correct.
downtime while you're
Correct. Exactly.
there
Yeah.
or the dead space. There was a
Um,
conversation I had with another English teacher a while
yeah.
back, and she
Yeah.
was talking about because I was like, "Oh, yeah, I do my French in this time and this other time, my French practice." And she's like, "Oh, you're using the dead space." And I was like, "Oh,
What is that? I know
it's true, but it sounds so
it's a little, yeah, it's a bit more. Oh no.
yeah, so morbid." Such a morbid way to practice languages.
I know.
But, um,
Yeah.
the The other question that I was thinking as you were talking is I wonder if you have like a cutoff time. Cause I know for me personally, I find it very difficult to end my day at certain moments because where you are like the 7 a.m. wake up, sometimes I at 11 o'clock at night, or I
Yeah.
just like suddenly am really energized and I have all these ideas and I want to keep working. And I'm like,
Yeah.
dude, I got to get up and teach at very early.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay.
So I just wondered, do you have like a strict cutoff time that you put for yourself, or what's that part
Yeah.
of your day look like?
For work, it's super easy because whatever the messaging channels we have, the platforms, all of that, I put it on there. My out of office starts at 5 p.m. So even if people were to message me, I wouldn't see it until the following day. So I think that's really important is having strong boundaries. If you're starting to walk this path of builds business building, like the boundaries have to be strong. We're not being wishy-washy for the boss or anybody.
I'm
Like,
like, you have to be stronger than the
yeah, you
put on the sunscreen. There you
yep.
go.
Um, because it's like if I'm going to be my own boss, then I have to start to exemplify that in other areas of my life. I can't say to my clients one thing just because I'm in business and then not do it in my work
Oh, you got
environment.
to practice what you preach. This is why I've been using so I have a voice message option for
Oh,
my clients,
yeah, yeah,
and I like because I just like your hybrid job,
yeah.
I wanted to have other avenues
Perfect.
that you
Yeah,
can practice English through. And I said, "You know what? I mean, I live in Spain, so I have a lot of Spanish around me,
yeah, yeah.
but do I do as much with French as
Mm,
I want to be doing?" And I
mm,
realized that actually with both, I wanted to look at them both a little more. And so I said, "Well, I'm just going to take my own thing, my own voice message speaking practice questions, even though they're in English, whatever, it's
yeah,
fine."
Yeah.
and use them for myself so that I could practice what I preach and be
It's
doing the thing. And yeah,
amazing.
that's so but it's amazing how, like, it took me being like, "Ooh, I'm not actually doing this. I need to
Yeah,
put
yeah,
myself in my student's place,"
yeah. And it's
and I love
hard to
that.
be because, I think
Yeah.
I it's really our is this I'm doing like am I really just saying things to say them? Is it
Yes.
really yeah, it's hard, but I think for me now, going back to this whole juggle thing, it's very empowering because when I tell
For sure.
people, how manage your manager, if that person isn't giving you the guidance, you need to tell them, just like in any relationship, I actually need XYZ from you in order to be a good contributor, in order to whatever it
So
is.
you go to the mirror and you say, "Hey, Vicky, this isn't" is that how you
Sometimes.
manage up yourself?
I mean, yeah, I will script sometimes, I have this tool called a trigger list, and it's from this book called, I think, Get Things Done Right, it's a productivity book, but the guy put this whole list of things that we might forget, like doctor's appointments, all these things. And the whole idea is get it out on the page, put everything on it, whatever it is, as random as buying a camera or whatever it is, so that you're not thinking about it and you're holding yourself accountable. So that's something I do whenever I've spoken to managers. I will write out first, what is it that I really want to say? Oh, you suck. No, I'm kidding. Lots of things. But I will be like
But
politely,
you get it out on the page. If
you've had it.
imagine
Yeah,
you get that emotion out first,
yes,
that can really
yes.
help have
And then
a
you
a
can tone
more
in. Yeah,
controlled
yeah.
conversation with them.
And it's helpful because you don't want to go into a conversation unprepared. You don't want to
Totally.
feel like the emotions get the better of you.
Oh, yeah.
We're not always in control, but as much as we can,
No, I
again,
mean, it's
pre
human to have emotions.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and as human as it is to have emotions, it's also, when you're the one who has the emotions and the other person doesn't, they're like, "Dude, like, control yourself." I'm like, "If you were in my shoes, you would have difficulty controlling it too."
Yes,
So, yeah.
exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, all those things, the strong boundaries, the kind of schedule structure, um, and the balancing and the patience. So, yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, that was really just lovely to hear all of the nuances of that go in, not just to your day, but to the hybrid job and your career
Yeah.
confidant work. So, thank you so much, Raquel. But before we go, where can people find you?
Oh, on my website, I have all the stuff there. So, it's Miriam, Miriam, Raquel Sands, .com. And you'll find my
Is that your
newsletter.
full name then? Are
It's
you
my
are you secretly Miriam and you
yeah. Yeah,
That's okay.
Miriam.
Most people think in Spain that I'm a Maria Victoria because that's such a
Oh,
common so they'll like on the Saints Day for Maria, they're like, "Oh, happy Saints Day." I'm like, "Oh, I'm just a Victoria."
no, yeah, it's my full name. I just always have been since I was a little girl. They call me Raquel, my middle name.
Yeah.
No, it's just always stuck. So I'm like, my full name is my full name, but I just like to go by my middle name. So
Yeah, I can see that. Um, I I think it's definitely a fun thing though to find out because I I don't know that I knew that your first name
oh,
was Miriam. So I but I remember seeing it on your site, so I should have like
oh,
like it didn't register,
you're gonna
but just now it did. So
yeah.
cool. We will find you there. And I definitely want to give a shout out to your podcast, The Calm Bomb, because I mean I was on it. So I want people to to make sure to check that out as well. And well, I think that that's all for today's quick cultural convo. But Wait, I said that that's all, but wait, there's more. If you would like to hear a little bit more from Raquel and myself, be sure to sign up for a little private podcast that I have where Raquel and I are going to keep chatting in the after show. So, what will we be chatting about? Oh, you'll have to come and see by signing up for that. And yeah, until next time, keep creating connections through conversations.
Thank you.
Toodaloo.